Every fear begins in the uncanny valley. Dude, the uncanny valley is like such an interesting concept when you think about it. That basically we all, as humans, have an underlying fear of things that look human but aren't. Like it's an instinctual fear. It is an instinct. And thinking about that really freaks me out because that means that there was something that looked human but wasn't human. It's very unsettling to think about that we once needed that instinct to be like, you're human. No, you're not. It's like human. No, it's like that. It's that fast too. It's crazy.
If you really think about it, ambiguity is what makes something terrifying. I mean, the unknown is unsettling, sure, but by itself, the unknown is vague. It's distant, out of focus. It's like walking through a forest alone
Oh,
at night.
I fucking hate that, dude. Ugh, I fucking hate that. You know what's the scariest stuff in the world? First of all, the woods at night. One of the fucking scariest things. Native American horror. Like that shit. That shit's freaky. Their horror is, I think, the scariest. Like that's the shit you don't fuck with.
Creepy, but you're never sure what to be afraid of. And because of that, your fear lies in the potential, which feels abstract. Like there's some distance between you
Oh, that's
and
so sick. I love liminal spaces like this. This is such a cool piece of art, dude. Oh my god. I love this so much. Just all this right here. I love liminal spaces. I gotta play a liminal space game sometime.
whatever it
That'd be so fun.
is that could be out there. Ambiguity, on the other hand, is what happens when the unknown
Yeah, I
grows
don't like
teeth.
that.
It's the
I'm not
difference
gonna
between
lie.
walking home alone at night and walking home alone at night when you suddenly hear something scuttle behind you. The first is potential. The second is immediate.
This is
Now,
if I oh my god, that guy's
there's
tall as
something
fuck. Oh, that's horrifying. I hate that. Oh, I hate that. Just rounding a corner in my house and just seeing that in the corner. Like this would be my reaction. You ready? Like I would freeze, and most people would freeze, dude. And yeah, and then it would like probably open its massive mouth and kill me or some shit.
there's something there.
Hey.
And it forces your brain to choose a threat level. Whatever it was could be dangerous, but it could also be harmless. Regardless,
The fucking
it
chair.
exists within a gray zone.
I'm throwing that chair away, guys. Come on, let's be honest though. I'm getting rid of that chair, bro.
And gray zones are conflicting.
That chair would
Which is
freak
why
me
I was
out.
so struck when I stumbled upon these videos about the Uncanny Valley. Clearly, the ambiguity of something being almost
Oh,
human,
no.
but not quite,
I hate
is what
that.
creates the discomfort.
Ugh.
But it wasn't just the Uncanny Valley that inspired this video. It was a comment. Specifically, this comment. The Uncanny Valley implies that
One of the most horrifying things I've ever heard is that when someone pointed out that the existence of the Uncanny Valley implies that at some point there was an evolutionary reason, I was talking about that, to be afraid of something that looked human but wasn't. Yeah, no. That shit, if that is real, if that was just like a hoax or something, you know, some just misinformation online, then, you know, it's not that unsettling, but yeah, it probably is something easily explainable, like monkeys or like some sort of other, like I said, human species that we just had beef with pretty much,
at some
and we had to tell if they were one of us or someone else.
point there was an evolutionary reason to be afraid of something that looked human but wasn't. And that sent me down a rabbit hole. Could this evolutionary reason be other hominids?
Oh,
Well,
that
there
guy
is some
murders me,
evidence
dude.
to suggest
That fucking guy,
this evolution
glazed over animalistic look, just yeah, that guy would rip me in half. Rip me in half.
reason be other hominids? Well, there
be
is
like
some
snapping a
evidence to suggest
toothpick.
Neanderthals engaged in cannibalism. And not only
Oh.
that, but interspecies predation. But okay, that's kind of unhinged. What about a predator? Well, mimicry is a very common strategy in the animal kingdom.
Oh,
And not
weird, yo.
what about a predator? Well,
That's the shit that doesn't make sense to me, though. Like, how a lot of things come about is natural selection. So you're telling me, if we're going off of natural selection, this caterpillar was mistakenly born looking resembling somewhat of a snake. Probably not like this as defined. It was able to have offspring. Then their offspring was like looked like them but a little bit more defined. And then the ones that survived that weren't eaten again looked like them and everything else. And then over time it just develops into that. That is our explanation. Like it's a coincidence then that they end up looking like a snake. I could just also be completely wrong. But like it's a coincidence that it learned to do that.
Mimicry is a very common strategy in the animal kingdom, and not only that, but some primates use it,
Ooh.
even to this day. So clearly, this fear is grounded in something, and what
That's
I
not
want to
that
do
bad.
is pull apart the most convincing theories to figure out what that something is.
Okay, like what is that? Like what are we doing here? Why are we fucking around with that? Can I say something? Why is it that like every robot that's like ever made, why do we have to make it look human? Like make it look like a robot, bro. Like Pathfinder from Apex Legends, bro. For Titanfall, but Apex Legends.
Without further ado, let's get right into
And
it.
he was getting
To
straight
figure out
teeth,
what
dude.
that something is. So
Bro's
without
acting
further
like, ah, bro, I got straight teeth. Ah.
ado, let's get right into it. For most of human history, we weren't alone. Aside from other humans, there were also other humans. Neanderthals, who were stronger, stockier, and more
yeah.
adapted to cool climates. Floresiensis, who were tiny, about 3 feet tall,
That those guys probably freaked the fuck out of like a normal Homo sapien, dude. Yeah, those guys would freak the fuck out
and
of
lived on
me.
the Indonesian islands. And finally, Denisovans, who we don't actually know what they look like. Regardless, all of them walked
Why?
upright.
How do we know they exist though? Because a lot of these images here, believe it or not, we're not taking of real, Homo sapien-esque species, but they're like artist representations of what they would look like. So what I don't understand is like, how do we know they don't? What, we just haven't recovered a good enough skeleton to be able to draw a good interpretation of what they'd look like? Who knows?
So we don't actually know what they look like.
Weird.
Regardless, all of them walked upright, had overlapping territory, and even similar faces. So aside from other groups of our own species, we also had interactions with other groups of humans, and they weren't always peaceful. Evidence from caves in France found Homo sapien bones with cut marks that resemble butchering, the kind you'd find on a prey
What?
carcass.
I don't want to what?
Bones with cut marks that resemble butchering, the kind you'd find on a prey carcass.
Yo, weird. So this guy was eaten. He was killed and eaten by another person.
There have also been Neanderthal fossils found with puncture wounds from projectiles, which Homo sapiens used more frequently than Neanderthals. And then there's the fact that a few thousand years after we expanded into Neanderthal territory, Neanderthals disappeared. Forever.
We
Only 2% of their DNA, which some of us still carry today.
so that's okay. So yeah, whoa, blur that.
Have considered mismatched, and there's a pretty solid argument to suggest the Uncanny Valley comes from other humans. I mean, outsiders can be dangerous, right? Yeah, no. Personally, I don't think this theory is correct. Even
Really?
if there was conflict, there were also peaceful interactions as well. And the very few remains that hint toward cannibalism or some type of predation can just as easily be explained by something else, like a spiritual ceremony or a rare time of desperation. And beyond the fact that the Uncanny Valley can be triggered by dolls or robots, wouldn't it be a far greater survival advantage to just evolve a fear of, say, aggression, rather than something that kind of looks human but isn't? Well, yeah, probably. So for a fear to be this specific and this instinctive, it had to be really costly to miss. And I think other human groups just don't fit into that category. However, there is another theory that does.
The disease theory. Oh shit.
One of the most powerful selection pressures in humans is parasites. There's even evidence to suggest that everything from morality to certain aspects of personality evolved from pathogen avoidance that became generalized. And because of that, some have extended it to the Uncanny Valley as well, suggesting that unsettling feeling.
So it could be like rotting corpses that have been infected by disease that's on the ground and its mouth's like, but like it's all the flesh is gone, like the eyes are gone and everything else. Like a decomposing body. That would actually make a lot of sense. because you'd be like, oh, I don't want to go over there. Like that'll happen to me. That's still unsettling as fuck, though. I hate that.
Is an instinct designed to help us avoid disease or corpses. And at first, it checks a lot of the boxes. It's a signal that would be costly to miss. It's a threat that would pop up often enough to shape entire populations, and there's a clear advantage to having this response. Add on to that the fact that a lot of the characteristics that make something unsettling fit into this kind of look of death, and you've got a solid theory.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. By itself, it may be able to explain the origin of the Uncanny Valley, but not the intensity. I mean, you might avoid someone who's coughing or whatever, but you're not going to feel some existential anxiety towards it. And on top of that, disease cues in general are subtle. Pale skin or sunken eyes don't really fit into that ambiguity of almost humanness category.
Yeah, no, but it's definitely like the dead rotting corpses would be the giveaway. And you'd be like, it's not avoiding a disease of like an alive person per se. I think it's like a dead body is on the ground. And you won't be like, I don't want to go over there. Like, that will happen to me pretty much. That's got to be it, right? If it's not other people, it's got to be that of their facial expressions when they're dead and rotting. And if they died from disease or they died from anything, really.
Oh my.
There are many examples of sexual selection amplifying traits that originally served a different purpose. For example, MHC genes help your body recognize and fight off infections. Partners who had different
Yo, who knows ball? Who knows ball, guys?
MHC genes when,
Oh yeah.
have immune defenses to fight off more infections. Over time, this becomes an instinctual preference for body odors linked to immune systems different from one's own. And that's why today, people have a preference for those who smell right in a dating context. It's actually a subconscious proxy for immune system different. In the animal kingdom, originally they evolved as weapons, but over time, they started serving a different purpose, attracting mates. And whether it was because they looked
Dude, elk are such cool animals. I don't know if you guys have ever gone hunting, but dude, elk are so cool.
more impressive,
Bull elk right here, so cool.
or those who had bigger antlers won more fights, eventually they became the norm in the population. It's a bit more complicated than that, but for the Uncanny Valley, the only thing we really have to understand is that sexual selection exaggerates existing traits. So if avoiding disease or infection was the origin, it's very plausible that sexual selection could have exaggerated this response.
No, dude. Okay. So basically, they looked bad. Basically, the Uncanny Valley was us getting the ick at other humans that we didn't want to reproduce with. It's literally a girl doing this to you. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
To what the Uncanny Valley is today. Long before the Uncanny Valley had a name, Freud had his own theory to explain the same unsettling feeling. Unheimlich, he called it, which literally translates to the unhomelike, something that should feel familiar.
Oh, that's why liminal spaces feel like nostalgic in a way, but are also creepy.
Doesn't. What's
Lonely. They feel more lonely.
interesting, however, is that the word Heimlich also has a second older meaning.
Heimlich.
Hidden or concealed. So the word isn't just defined as the unfamiliar. It's the return of something once concealed that we wish hadn't. And when exploring different entities of the horror genre, this seems to be part of what makes them scary. For example, many cultures consider doppelgangers an omen of death, existing in a
Us was a good movie. That was a good
strange
movie.
space between what is us and what is not.
If you guys seen the movie Us, you should. It is a really good movie.
This blurred line could stir deep repressed feelings
She's
about
such a good
identity.
actor.
Zombies occupy a similar in-between state, not truly alive yet not entirely dead. Maybe they're such a common mythological trope because they bring up buried emotions tied to life and death. The Uncanny Valley, dolls, and even AI are things that try to mimic humans, be it in how they look or in their attempt at consciousness. Maybe this brings up repressed feelings about a loss of agency or a fear of being replaced. And there are so many other examples like werewolves, vampires, liminal spaces, and so on. These are all creatures and places and things about what happens when the boundary between real and fake, primal and socialized, empty and full, gets blurred. and it can trigger deep, uncomfortable feelings, which circles back to how ambiguity gives the unknown teeth. It creates a tension that we're desperate to solve. But while we navigate the world by simplifying it into tidy categories, real experiences tend to be harder to classify. That's why our default response is fear. If you're uncertain, it's better to be safe than sorry, right? But now, as we've become who we are today, living in societies shaped by culture, language, and memory, not everything ambiguous is a predator lurking in the dark.
The Mothman.
Sometimes it's a feeling. But because we can't categorize them, they get buried, only to resurface when some ambiguous thing in the real world resembles that which we've repressed. And so, if you were to ask me what I think causes the uncanny valley, I don't think it's any one theory. I think it's everything. Everything that once posed a threat that forced us to make a decision quickly. And today, even though ambiguity is no longer the immediate threat it once was, maybe it's more personal. And arguably, that's worse.
Oh, that was an awesome video, dude. Darwin's Lab, awesome video. No, that was very interesting. How he explained everything was just so convincing. Like the entire time I was like, yeah, I like every new thing I was like, yeah, I don't know how it could be anything else. That's so true though. It's everything. It's just fear. It is fear, pretty much. We have mislabeled it. It's fear. The uncanny valley is not one thing. It is multiple fears combined into one, which is just genuine fear. Anyway, that was awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed. I sure did. What an awesome video, dude. That was awesome. Holy shit. All right, take care.